technology to better meet students' needs, because technology seems it's just at the forefront of what a lot of, just in the world today. So it's advanced some of our educational practices in a manner to try and better meet students' needs that are more comfortable using tech. So that's helped with it. But at the end of the day, I think when it comes to working with people, it's building relationships, it's being present, right? And so that part hasn't really ever changed. It's still working to build trust, and show the care, provide the care that we want for the students. As you're all growing older, and making sure that you understand that we want you to be successful after high school too. So trying to help bridge that gap. I mean, it's everyone's been through a lot, and I think that having kind of gone through that, students and educators alike, I think that there's been a lot of grace shown, and I think there's sort of in some ways a mutual experience with that, and an appreciation that we've all had to navigate through that. And so I think that has also helped have that, I guess, the relationship between educators and their students.
Were there any benefits or valuable habits or skills that you got out of COVID?
So as a counselor, any benefits? I think one of the big takeaways from especially when we were in quarantine, and then even that next year, is that it provided an opportunity to sort of hit the pause button and reflect on, what really was important in life in general, right? And yes, in education, we're here to educate students. We're here to help you learn, to grow, to challenge you, right? But we're also here to help you grow and thrive as human beings, right? And pursue things that you're really interested in and want to experience in life, right? So it I think it really helped everyone take a moment to pause and reflect on the work and the meaning of the work that we do. So I think that's one positive that came from it. It gave us that time to do that. And then in terms of, and I'm sorry, what was the second part of the question? Or is what benefits were there? And
valuable habits or like skills that you developed.
I think valuable habits that came from it. So in particular, the quarantine and the hybrid year, I'd say that stretch of, call it 12 to, I don't know, not quite 18 months, but 12 to 16 months or so, I think it really pushed to better organize, to better manage time, to be more efficient with some of those things, because trying to balance, again, during quarantine, trying to balance family responsibilities and things at home, right, help meet needs of making sure that my own children were getting their education, but then also educating our students, right? And meeting family needs, right? So there's that balance and how to navigate that, and then also coming back into the next school year with the hybrid scheduling, right? Again, balancing the every other day model. And that year we had to change the schedule 3 or 4 times, and so again, meeting with students and reworking the schedule multiple times and doing all of that, working to make sure that we're meeting the students' needs, and balancing that with just the needs of everything else in one's own life, I think has really been helpful, having come out from that, just to kind of work with what's important.
So do you think it really helped towards like the problem solving and like the perseverance of like everyone as a whole, because like of all the challenges that COVID posed?
I think to a degree, yeah. I think COVID, I think that could be definitely said, that there's a lot of resilience in the world, and that the people showed and continue to show, and how we've bounced back in a lot of ways, since that really difficult 12 to 18 months, and still there's still a lot of loss that happened, and grief that happened, not just from, I think, there were many people that passed during that time, and that's that's a very difficult thing. But there's also other sorts of loss that occurred, right? So the loss of opportunities to have, like we were talking about before, like what was junior high and the transition to high school, like that was that's not something that was a traditional or typical experience, right? For someone who's now a senior in high school. So was there a loss in some way, shape, or form in that? I think there's a loss of experience or the more, I guess, traditional experience, if you will. So I think there's a lot that can be learned from those things, and maybe a sense of appreciation for some things as we go forward in life. But I still think that there are lessons that we're still learning from all of that, and how can we continue to improve? How can we continue to meet our needs, and take care of ourselves and help others as well.
Right. So, do you think COVID has affected students' soft skills, and how have like those changed from since COVID time?
I don't know if COVID by itself has necessarily changed or had an impact, unilaterally on the development of soft skills. I think it's maybe one in a number of factors that, as a world, we're transforming and evolving. I just in terms of, I guess communication in one way. And I had mentioned technology a couple different times before, but I think a lot of those developments and the ways in which we communicate and the ways in which we're learning, I think they all have an impact on how we interact with one another. And I think COVID was and is part of that. But I don't know that I would say that I think that COVID is the one thing that changed it by itself.
The sole factor.
Right.
Because I was just thinking, because like there was a lot of isolation, and everything was like across the screen, and people got used to that because it was for such a long period of time. Yeah. That would have like, people would like got in the habit of just thinking that's how life would have been. Yeah.
And I think you bring up a good point where like it's possible that like that's how you think this is, right? Or you think about, students that were in, earlier primary grade levels in school, and well, I'm doing school on a computer from home, right? Like if you're in kindergarten at the time and that was your school, like, this is kindergarten, right? Or this is first grade or whatever it is. Whereas those of us that are older know that that's not how the educational experience was set up, right?
Traditionally.
The traditional educational experience would be set up. Now, There's some people that have found that works well for them, so they can certainly continue to do that. But thinking about like, is there an impact on that? Yeah, I think there probably has been, and in some ways, like, not just in education, but also in the working world too, where because some jobs now have gone remote and have stayed remote. Right. Some have gone back to being more in the office setting, but some continue to be remote. So that's kind of a learned piece that maybe has come from that time.
And my final question for you is, what were some of the biggest struggles you saw among students, yourself, or even like other counselors or teachers during or after COVID?
Yep. Great question. And I think one of the biggest struggles, as I reflect back on that time, you had kind of alluded to, a learned experience, but I think, you use the word isolation, and I think that was one of the big things, is that I think a lot of people felt isolated during those times, and isolated, disconnected, and so since then, it's working through those feelings of loneliness, isolation, trying to connect with people outside of the digital world, right? Because people can connect digitally, but how can we maintain connections outside of the digital world? And if it is going to be more digitally based, then how do we maintain healthy, safe connections, right? So I think that's been one of the things that during those times in particular that a lot of people struggled with, adults, young people alike, was that piece of isolation, not being able to see friends, not being able to see family, spend time with them, those sorts of things I think really had an impact on people, even coming to school, right? School is not just the academics, but there's a lot of social learning that takes place here between students, right? So students learning from one another and having those shared experiences. And so having a lot of that go away during the time of COVID had an impact on people. And so I think since then, working to rebuild connections and build stronger connections has been important for people.
Mm-hmm. Did you see a lot of like mental or like emotional like issues or struggles that stem from COVID?
I think, and I don't know. Again, I don't know that necessarily like COVID brought it on by itself or triggered it by itself, but it might have been an event that brought it to the forefront. Maybe it's been something that's been going on for a while, and that it activated it, if you will, and kind of brought that to light or brought it up to the surface. And for a lot of people, there's some people where no, like that event really, because of the changes that it made in their lives and the impact that it had on their lives and the lives of loved ones and friends. I think that had an impact on them too. So in terms of, brain health, mental wellness, that sort of thing, right, that you're asking about, I do think that we've seen more people in general, like in school, but also in the community and in the world. I think there's been, since COVID, I think there's been, or continued to be, a breakdown of the stigma of mental wellness and mental health. And so I think that we have seen an increase of students and community members seeking out support, and then because of that, then the community trying to keep up with the need, right? Trying to keep up with the request for that. Here at the school, students coming in and there's 6 of us counselors and trying to make sure that someone's available for, nearly 1,800 students on a daily basis, right? And we also have school-based therapists here in the building, and they're, they don't often have openings because they're full. And so in terms of the need being met or needs being there, yeah, I think we've seen that continue to be destigmatized since COVID.
Okay. Well, that's all I had for you today.
I know I got really long-winded there, so I hope something in there helps you out.
Yeah, I got a lot there.
Okay.
Thank you so much.